Welcome to Tony's Photography Corner. What we're going to do is we're going to have a very quick look at the external differences between the 6400 and 6700. We'll start with the back. On the Sony 6400, of course, as you've probably seen before, you had a flip up screen, and that was pretty much all you could do with it. You could pull it out if you wanted to, like that, and that was really about it. The 6700, you have a flip around screen where you can rotate the screen depending on whether you are, in vlogging style, or whether you're looking down and you want it on the ground and you want to be able to look down on it, or indeed if you were above and you wanted to look up at it. Yeah, and you can secure it like that if you want to maybe protect the screen as well. That seems to work like that. Most of the controls on the back of these two are actually very, very similar. So down the bottom on both of them you have a delete button, a play button and a function button. Rotating dial for display, ISO, viewing images and exposure compensation, and self timer and multiple shooting over here. So this part is pretty much exactly the same. The 6700 has a dedicated autofocus button, which really is bringing it quite close to the professional level. The 64 had an autofocus, manual focus and auto exposure lock. Let go of autofocus on when it's configured and it'll hold focus. It certainly does on the Nikon cameras anyway. Menu button up here on the 700, and on the 400 the menu button is here. So there's a slight difference in the shape. You obviously have your monitors far on the left hand side and the top is uncluttered. The 6400 has a pop-up flash. The 6700, there is no flash. You of course have the hot shoe protector, which I must admit I took out on this one, but it's interchangeable, it's exactly the same. The other big difference between these two is the size. The grip size is significantly bigger. On this, your whole hand, goes around it. This one is much smaller. It's also lighter. The 6400 is 403 grams and the 6700 is 493 grams. So it has gained 90 grams, which is not a huge amount, but it is definitely a bigger, chunkier camera there like that. You can definitely see there is a noticeable difference in size on these two watches. On these two cameras. The 6700, is noticeably thicker. The on-off buttons work the same way. On, off, on, off. Another change on the 6400, you'll notice that the dedicated record button that was here is now a custom button, custom 1, and the record button is now placed up here. You've got a custom button 2 up here next to there. So on the 6700 you've got 1, 2 or 3 custom buttons. On the 6400 you had 2 custom buttons. On the front of the 6400 there is no dedicated front dial. On the front of the 6700 you have a front dial which would help you change aperture. Again, brings it closer to a professional level. And this one here probably helps you to change shutter speed. I haven't really played around with the internals of this camera properly. One command dial for manual, shutter speed, aperture, program auto, and obviously you have the same over here. A few differences. Down here you now have a dedicated camera button video button and the SQ button. So in the 6400, the dedicated film button is over here. MR button, panoramic. So the scene button is gone and the MR button is gone. And I will confess, I have no idea what they are. The SQ button here. Oh, the panoramic button seems to have gone too. Again, I will admit, I don't know what SQ is. Like I said, I've had this for several years and I've mainly just used it for standard video on this setting here, and I haven't really played around with many of the... That's what this channel's about really. It's me learning and teaching as much as, you know, picking up things from comments and things like that. You know, hopefully we will kind of learn together. So on the 6400, all of your controls here are on that one dial. You have some controls on the main dial up here and then a sub dial down here. You also have a 1, 2, 3. I'm guessing that 1, 2, 3 is 3 settings that you could use inside. So maybe you could set one up for landscape photography, number 2 up for animal photography, and number 3 for high ISO interior photography, for example. I'm not exactly sure. Please comment below. Let's have a look at the side and the base of these cameras. So another really big change is the battery on the new camera is significantly bigger than on the old camera. I'm guessing the battery on the new camera maybe is the same as their full frame. It's a significant size difference. It's much bigger. On this one, your SD card would go in that slot there. On the new camera, you have a dedicated SD slot over here, and I'm definitely going to have to upgrade my SD cards. This is it's an Extreme Pro, but it's only 45 megabits. I think you can get them a lot faster than that now. So this is clearly an area where I need to, you know, significantly increase my computing power. And that's the only thing that you have behind that door. Closes there. It has a lockable door there. I've known some people make comments about that there is only one. So far, generally speaking, I've not had a problem with the original genuine SanDisk cards. I don't get SanDisk cards from Amazon because I don't think they're all completely genuine. So I will admit I have had problems with SD cards, and I think that's been ones I've bought from Amazon. So I would buy your SD cards from a reputable seller. Of course, this one has the old-fashioned charging point here, the micro USB, but now it's USB-C, the micro HDMI port, and a microphone port. No headphone out. You have a headphone slot. So you get, again, which is a nod to the professional side of things. I must admit I've never used a headphone slot, but you have a headphone slot, a micro HDMI slot, USB-C, and your microphone slot. So it's quite good that you have, you know, individual doors for all different things there, rather than this having to have everything open. So the new one is a little bit chunkier. Length is about the same, marginally higher. The main difference is in the thickness of it and the grip. Obviously down here you have the lens release button, same place, down there, lens release button down there. I need to have a bit more of a play around. Comments or questions below. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Thanks very much for watching.